What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and if you're enjoying the content here on my channel, then make sure you hit the like button and make sure you hit subscribe so you can help decide what direction the content on my channel goes in the foreseeable future. Okay, so one of the things that I noticed in the comments section, at least one of the questions that I've been getting an awful lot from you guys, is the question, what happened to Alfred in the origin story of the Batman Who Laughs? We're not really shown what happened to Alfred. We're not really told what happened to the character of Alfred in the Batman Who Laughs origin. Alfred's not included or referenced in there anywhere. Instead, we just pick up with Batman, who's basically being taunted by the Joker and then eventually snaps and becomes the new Joker. But it does raise the question. It does, kind of ask this valid question. What happened to Alfred? Where in the world is Alfred? So here's the deal. For those of you guys who are new to DC Comics, Alfred's origin story before the New 52 was explained in Detective Comics 806 through 808 or something along those lines. But it spilled the beans, and it really said that Alfred was just part of British intelligence. He was a British agent, more or less. He worked for MI5, he worked for MI7. Eventually, he was kind of forced into retirement and then took up employment with the Wayne family. And so following the death of Thomas and Martha Wayne, he ultimately became the sort of caretaker slash father figure for Bruce Wayne with regards to how he lived his life and so on and so forth. Now, the cool thing about Alfred is that on the surface, he's just like the family butler, and he's also the guy who's aware that Bruce Wayne is Batman and even helped him to achieve that goal. Alfred plays a very important role in Bruce Wayne's life, but again, the most important role that he plays is that he is very much a father figure for the character of Bruce Wayne. Under the surface, he's the father figure of Bruce. He taught him a lot of the things that he needed to know about what it meant to be a man. And so because of that, with Alfred having vanished, with regards to the Batman Who Laughs, the question is, where did he go? Well, there's a couple possible explanations on what may have happened here. The first explanation is that Joker killed Alfred before the events of the Batman Who Laughs picked up. But the breaking point for Bruce Wayne was the fact that Joker was going through and killing all these different citizens in Gotham, and Batman was being made helpless to stop them. I feel like Batman cares more about Alfred than he does the entire citizenry of Gotham City. If Batman had to make a choice between the citizens of Gotham or the life of Alfred, he would save the life of Alfred. I feel like that would be the case. I feel like he would go to almost any length in order to make that happen. Now, I don't believe we've ever actually seen a story unfold that sort of put him in that situation, right? Where Joker had a gun to the quote unquote collective city of Gotham and then a gun to Alfred and said, you have to choose one. We've had stories that have been similar to that, with regards to Injustice, things like that. But in the main DC line of stories, I don't think we've actually had that story. But again, I would say that he would probably choose Alfred. And so if Batman were going to snap and Batman were basically going to kill the Joker in response to the Joker's action, his incorrigibility, the fact that he cannot be fixed, I feel like Alfred would be the breaking point more than the citizens of Gotham. If Batman found out that Joker had killed Alfred, then he would have snapped long before any of this happened. I felt like it would have been a great thing. The caveat to that is that if they'd done that story in the Batman Who Laughs, it would have seemed too easy. Joker breaks into the Batcave and he kills Alfred and Batman snaps. It seems like it'd be too easy. Having the citizens of Gotham more or less tormented, ritualistically killed by the Joker more or less, and Batman being helpless to stop them is kind of interesting, and I think it lends it a little more credence to the insanity of the story. But again, it doesn't necessarily give us a definitive answer. If we look at an event like the possibility that Alfred Pennyworth never went to work for the Wayne family, to me, that's the most likely scenario. That Alfred Pennyworth never worked for the Waynes. That Alfred Pennyworth continued to go on to be a member of MI5 and MI7. When he was forced into retirement, he just stayed in England. He never came over to the United States. He just stayed overseas. And it seems like the most logical possibility. Had he been killed by the Joker, with regards to the events of the origin of the Batman Who Laughs, it would have been referenced. It would have been discussed. I think it would have been a little more impactful if the Batman Who Laughs had killed Alfred himself. That, I think, would have been a lot more intense, and it would have been pretty insane in the sense that Alfred would have been the one to pick it up. But there's neither hide nor hair reference of Alfred. It's not like in the Batman Who Laughs origin, Batman's talking to Jason Todd and to Dick Grayson and to, Batgirl, Barbara Gordon, and, all these characters. And they say, well, where's Alfred? What does Alfred have to say about all this? That's never mentioned. You never hear anything about Alfred. And it's entirely possible that that's the case. Alfred coming to work for the Waynes was more happenstance than anything else. Things just sort of ended up that way. But it's entirely possible that he never played that role. But then again, it also leads to the equation of Batman being who he is. Batman existing in the form and function that he does in DC Comics is a direct reflection of the impact Alfred had on him. All the things that he taught him, all the lessons he learned, so on and so forth. Because again, Alfred was basically the conscience of Bruce Wayne. He was the voice in his ear that said, hey, look, don't get too carried away. Make sure you achieve your goal and then get out. Do not get too emotionally intertwined. But Alfred's also the person that whispers in Batman's ear, sometimes you have to be emotional. Sometimes you have to allow emotion to get the better of you, if for no other reason than it reminds you of the fact that you're human. human, that you make mistakes, so you're prone to do the bad thing, you're prone to do the right thing, but he is the conscience of Bruce Wayne's mind. The way that Bruce Wayne is depicted in The Batman Who Laughs, in the origin story, in a lot of ways, at least in the very beginning, before he, at least when he shows the early indications of the Joker, in that fine moment when he's acting like his normal self, he's acting like the Batman that we're used to, the Batman that we've seen in, however many years, ever since Crisis on Infinite Earths, really. And the fact that he's acting like that version of Batman indicates that he was experienced everything that version of Batman did, which also includes the existence of Alfred. And so again, I don't have an answer to that question. I don't have a definitive answer to what it is that happened to Alfred. I don't know what happened to his character. I don't know if he just never went to go work for the Waynes. I don't know if he was never, he never raised Bruce Wayne. Maybe Bruce Wayne became Batman and Alfred quit and they just don't talk about him anymore. I mean, there's any number of things that could have gone on there. Alfred could have been killed in some catastrophe somewhere. But I feel like if Alfred existed in that story, if anywhere along the line in the origin story of The Batman Who Laughs, or in the life of Bruce Wayne in the Batman Who Laughs universe, if at any point Alfred came into existence, Alfred probably would have been referenced. But it may be that there was no interest in the writers to reference Alfred. Maybe he was actually there. Maybe he was killed by Bruce Wayne. Maybe he was killed by the Joker. Maybe he died when he was hit by a car. We have no earthly clue. If he just died a heart attack, whatever the case may be. There was so much going on in that story that there wasn't really a lot of room for unnecessary mentions, things that just didn't really seem appropriate at the time or didn't seem to be a necessity at the time. But I would argue that if that's the logic that's being taken here, then Alfred is definitely worth mentioning. Whether Alfred died before the events that happened, whether Alfred was killed by the Batman Who Laughs, it makes sense that he would have to be referenced. Like I said, I think it would be more impactful. I think it would have added more to the story if on his way to taking out the Justice League, the Batman Who Laughs took out Alfred as well as all the other members of the Bat family. That seems like it would have been more intense. I think it would have been cooler if it turned out that the Batman Who Laughs was actually Alfred, who lost his mind after Batman was killed by the Joker. That I think would have been really, really cool. I think that would have been an interesting concept. But, regardless of how it plays out, there's no definitive answer that we have. I mean, as far as I'm aware, there's nothing indicated. I guess I could probably tweet, to James Tynion to say, hey man, what happened to Alfred in the Batman Who Laughs? What's the basis behind him? Tynion may not care enough to offer a response. May just be like, I don't know, whatever you want to happen to him. I have no clue. I've never met James Tynion, never talked to him, so I have no idea. Fun fact, for those of you guys who are interested, if you tweet writers of comics on Twitter, usually they'll answer you. I mean, Ethan Van Sciver talks to people all the time. He does live streams. Brian Michael Bendis, I've talked to him on Twitter. Jonathan Hickman has never answered me on Twitter, but I have talked to him in person, which is kind of cool. But, there have been instances where writers communicate with fans, which is always a welcomed kind of thing. But I don't know. I mean, I'm going to open the floor to you guys on this. I want to see what your all's take is. What do you guys think happened to Alfred in the Batman Who Laughs story? And don't just limit it to my options. Again, I argue that he just never went to go work for the Waynes, or he was killed by the Joker, or any number of things that happened before the Batman Who Laughs. But let me know what you guys think. I mean, is it possible, Alfred became a villain? That he became a bad guy? Is the Joker Alfred? I have no earthly clue. At this point, with the way the Dark Multiverse goes, in the sense that it's just a nightmare multiverse, anything's possible. It's entirely possible that Alfred was working for MI5 and MI7, and then suddenly he's visited by a green ring that says, Alfred, you have the power to overcome great fear. Welcome to the Green Lantern Corps. I want to see that story. I want to see a story where Alfred becomes a Green Lantern. I want to see that story so much. I want to see a story where Alfred becomes Batman. That would be super cool. That would be an amazing story. If that story exists, let me know down in the comments, because then I will cover that story. Anyway, guys, we're going to go ahead and bring this video to an end. If you are new here to Comics Explained, make sure you guys hit the sub button to become part of the Rob Corps. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like, and yeah, I will catch you all later. Peace.